Climate Coalition group, and they have recently commenced a project in St Kilda, which I find very intriguing and exciting. We have Jill Beale and David Norrish to explain it to us this evening.
Hi, thanks so much for having us here. It's just so inspiring to be able to hear what you guys are doing. I thought tonight, I'd start by talking about what AYCC does, how ICES got involved, and what we've been doing in St Kilda. And then David's going to talk about Bayside, which is happening in 2 weeks, and a walk for solace. So pretty much what we're doing next. So basically, it's incredible how much what you guys are doing is what I did when I was in high school. So I was always that kid that got up in assembly and had to talk about, what we're doing with climate change this week, where, you're going to be bringing our kit cups in and you get $1 coffee, and then we had an Earth Day as well, and that was not popular at my school at all, especially not with the teachers, because they were just freezing. But I actually established an environmental group at Caulfield Grammar, so I'm a local resident as well. And yeah, it was just amazing to be able to talk to my peers about climate change, as I'm sure you guys are now, and to inspire teachers and inspire the student body. And now there's a group there that's got 30 students going every once a week, your groups, and they've continued Earth Day, which is what I started back in 2007. So they've done that every year, which is incredible. So yeah, as I said, I grew up with probably similar parents to you guys as well. My parents were always concerned about packaging and plastic bags. I remember one time I went to the supermarket with my parents, and we had a huge shopping trolley full of shopping. We went up to the counter and we didn't have our green bags. And I was like, no plastic bags for us. And we had to carry all the stuff back to the car without any plastic bags, just so my parents could proudly say they don't want plastic bags. So I definitely grew up sort of thinking about the impact that we were having on the environment. And then in high school, I actually had a teacher who was really inspiring. And I guess my whole life I sort of felt like climate change was this big issue, yeah, but that things were happening, everyone was talking about it, there were scientists that were doing things, politicians were acting vaguely somewhere, and, well, that was probably 15 at the time. And then I was sitting in class, and I found out just how urgent climate change is. And I'm obviously not going to go preaching to you guys, because you are the converted, but it just shocked me how we've basically got 10 years to really do something about climate change. And there's just not the action that we're seeing. So there was this disconnect. There was this, we're talking about it, we're learning about it in school, I've been learning about it for probably 7 years by then, and we just weren't seeing the solutions. So I started doing what you guys are doing. I established an environmental group, I went to uni, and I found out about AYCC. And I think it's similar in that it's a lot about cultural change. So it's talking about switching off those light bulbs, talking to your friends about climate change, getting the keep cups out. But it's also partnering that with political change. And so it's sort of this really nice relationship where we're campaigning on things like the renewable energy target, on things like the carbon price. We've been campaigning during the elections on the vote climate agenda, that sort of thing. But also it's still about this cultural stuff, which is so important in getting people to think about how what they do actually affects the world. So the things that we've been doing this year is we've been running a campaign called Repower. So back in December, I started a local group in St Kilda, and so that had about 25 members, and still has about 25 members, and we ran in May, I think it was, a Repower the Lentil is Anything. Does anyone know Lentil is Anything in St Kilda? Yep, okay, you're pretty cool, and because some people don't. No. It's great, I love the place, I go there all the time. Anyway, so for me and my friends and everyone in the group, this was a pretty iconic place for us in St Kilda, a great place. We're all students, we don't have any money, so you can pay what you like. It suits us pretty well. So Repower is a campaign that was run nationally by AYCC, and basically the premise was that local groups would come together and run events to invite the entire community to come to to raise money to repower that venue with renewable energy. So basically, it looked like 100 people coming to Lentils Anything and feeding them as quickly and efficiently as possible with live music. We took over the street, we had like fairy lights, we had this huge night around renewable energy. So it was a chance for, firstly, for people to come out and demonstrate their support for renewable energy within our own community. Secondly, it was a really practical way for people to pay for a ticket, and we raised $2,000 to put towards getting solar panels for Lentils Anything. So, and it's also, like, thirdly, it's a way that, like, we're acknowledging that we need politicians. We need politicians to get enough renewable energy. We all know that, but we're just not going to wait for politicians to act anymore. And we wanted to start the transition in our community ourselves. And so that's what we did. We have raised that money, and right now we probably didn't raise enough for solar panels. Solar panels are ridiculously expensive, so we're probably going to be doing retrofitting, which will like be getting insulation, energy efficiency, which is stuff that really adds up. But you know, we've had so much interest around that. Michael Danby actually gave me a call, and he was like, Jill, like, how come all these like young people are getting out, and like, why are they talking about renewable energy? And I could actually say to him, well, Michael Danby, 100 people came to me, and they said that they want action on climate change. They want a strong renewable energy future. And like, that was just so powerful that this one event, I was on Michael Danby's radar, like my federal members' radar. It was incredible. Anyway, so Nish, what do we do next?
Yeah, so thank you very much to Mandy for having us. And I just wanted to say I was so impressed to hear all you guys talking about the things you're doing in your schools. I was obviously a bit of a late bloomer in environmental events, especially compared to Jill. My school didn't have an environmental group. There were no programs or campaigns or anything like that, and it really wasn't until university that I got involved in this kind of stuff. Probably about the Al Gore era that I jumped on board the ship. Yes, so I just wanted to sort of also add to the repower story. Just to really stress, AYCC is quite a large group, and so we really have the policy of focusing on local groups all across the state and in fact across the entire country. So I joined AYCC in February this year, back when Jill was running the group and being an amazing leader and facilitator. And so I have since joined the support team, so I sort of provide mentoring and counselling for lots of other groups. So we have outreach to people in all sorts of schools like you guys are attending. We try to have presences on all the university campuses and also just in some local states and things like that. So yeah, I play in a band, and so we actually helped repower another venue called Lentils Anything in Abbotsford, which is another great thing. So we had lots of really good events, and all across the state we had all the different venues raising money for sustainability, which is fantastic to see. So our current campaign is called Youth Decide, as Jill just mentioned. AYCC actually had a Youth Decide a few years ago, back in 2009, was it? Yeah, okay. And the issue at the time was, if you were around back then and remember the political situation, there was a lot of discussion going on about what sort of renewable targets Australia should have, whether there should be anything at all. And so AYCC had a huge vote, and we got 40,000 people? Yeah, 40,000 young people to come along and have a vote on what sort of targets they'd like to see for the future. So this is a group of people who can't actually vote federally in elections, and generally their voice is not heard. So we thought it was really fantastic for them to be able to get out there and have a say on what sort of targets they want to see, what sort of future they wanted. And of course, these things are also politically powerful. So the message does trickle across that, you know, this huge group of soon-to-be voters and people who are currently voting want to see such and such policies. So currently we're having another vote. Current political situation has sort of receded a little bit in terms of the positive message we saw a few years ago. So we have lots of negativity, and you could argue that the environmental movement is sort of on the back foot a little bit now. So we just want to try and get that back out in the public view, or what have you. Yeah, sure. I'm looking for an expression which didn't quite come to me, but which is okay. Yeah, and just show the politicians and everybody that it is still something Australians and young people really care about, and we do want to see strong targets in terms of renewable energy and reducing emissions, etc. So we've been running this campaign for about a month now, in terms of it really being up and running. We're Jill's actually in the outreach team now, so she's responsible for a whole lot of people contacting schools all across the state. And people on my team are helping to provide support, so advice and resources to those teams. And we're getting people in all sorts of schools and universities to hold voting events. So they set up, it's quite simple. You can have just like a little booth with a couple of computers, and in a day or a few days, in a week's time, sorry, in 2 weeks' time, we have a week of voting. So people can come along and say exactly what they want to see. Once that's done, we want to talk about the next thing there. Yeah, so once that's done, we're actually getting a huge group of people to go and do a big walk in South Australia. So we're all travelling up to Port Augusta. You may or may not know there are 2 coal-fired power plants up there which are shutting down.
Who's heard about Port Augusta? Have you guys heard about it? Yeah, awesome, cool.
Okay, that's awesome to see. So there's a couple of possibilities once these plants shut down, which I don't think they have yet.
I think they're going to.
Yeah, it might be the end of this year, in fact. I should probably check my facts on this. But, anyway, so one option will be that they'll be replaced by a gas-fired power plant. And the option that we're pushing for is to have concentrated solar thermal. I won't go into the science about this because some of you may already know about it, but you've probably seen pictures where you have big fields just full of mirrors, like these big reflecting dishes that shine light up onto this tower. Yeah, it's a fairly new technology which is really exciting, and it's already been rolled out in Spain, in the US, and a number of countries. And it seems like it could be a technology that would provide baseload power, largely. So that's what we're really campaigning for. So after the Youth Decide event, thanks, Jill, we're taking at least 100 people from all across the country to go on a big walk for 330 kilometres or so, from Port Augusta all the way down to Adelaide. We're going to stop in at communities along the way, talk to people, just try and really engage with the populace and get discussions happening. And we're going to take those votes and to the federal parliament, I think? Or, yeah, okay, and just show this is a big movement. We've come on, we have a huge amount of support from the community, and just try and really drive home the support for concentrated solar thermal, which is already largely supported in the state by the state government, and so we just need a little bit more of a push to hopefully get it there. Yes.
Brilliant. So the reason that ties in is because we're actually going to be taking the votes from Youth Decide with us on the walk to present in Adelaide. So as like David already mentioned, we've got support from the South Australian government. We've got support from the local community, the mayor. We have support from pretty much everyone bar the gas companies, except for the federal government. So this is so important. This is such a crucial time, and it's so exciting to be able to do this walk and raise awareness for concentrated solar thermal. I don't know if you guys are learning about it yet, but it's pretty exciting. Have you guys heard about it? That's awesome. That's great. Okay, cool. Just don't worry about education, don't know that. But yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing next. So yeah, just to reiterate, like Youth Decide is going to be this huge event in 2 weeks. So every school, our goal is to have every school running a Youth Decide event. And we've got like university, Melbourne University, which is where I'm studying, is holding an event every day. We've got series, as someone mentioned before. Yeah, you guys have been visiting it. Yeah, series. There's going to be a huge event there on Saturday with like our Brunswick and our Moonee Ponds groups running those. So we've got local groups scattered all around Victoria. They're going to be running these Youth Decide events. So look out for it and definitely get involved. I think that's happening in 2 weeks. So if you guys can just talk about it to people, get people thinking about the renewable energy target, because there is a serious chance that it could be reduced in October. And we obviously don't want that to happen. It needs to be increased dramatically. So yeah, I guess that's it from us. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, we'd love to answer. Yeah.
Are you affiliated with Beyond Zero Emissions?
Oh no,
not officially as such.
We love them.
Yeah, we really endorse their plan, the social
They're a
energy
huge
plan.
program as well.
Yeah, so we base lots of our policies and sort of campaigns, I guess, on research that they've done.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like that's the stuff that pretty much inspires us, and then we just go out and try and communicate it to people and students. So I think there's a really nice relationship there, but we're not affiliated. Yeah.
Are you going out to the secondary schools and the primary schools, or
for Youth Decide, which is like what we're focusing on now, obviously, is just secondary schools. We do talks to primary schools as well, but right now it's predominantly secondary schools. Yeah. Anyone else?
Okay. Well, thanks for listening. And if you guys are interested in having events at your schools, please feel free to come talk to us.
Thank you.